Ticket prices, ticket sizes, tap cards, and even ticket apps. There's been a lot of options and discussions around how best to pay for transit. But what if there's a way we could increase ridership and revenue without charging any fares at all? Just for fun, let's talk about fare-free transit. Free transit might sound radical, but there are over 200 cities or towns that offer some form of free transit around the world, 100 of which offer a completely free service, regardless of zone, rider, or time of day.
Due to global urbanization, many cities are looking to transit systems as a way to shift our growing transportation needs. After all, the more people using the bus results in less congestion, lower emissions, less wear and tear on our infrastructure. It's a real win-win scenario.
The idea behind a fare-free transit system takes this one step farther. It achieves all of this while also lowering the financial strain for low-income households, seniors, and other at-risk members of the community. And if social equity and environmental benefits weren't enough of an incentive, there's also a direct benefit to the transit system.
By removing fares, you also remove the overhead and maintenance cost of ticket and coin counters, the reduction of tickets, transfers, and passes, the administration and managing of collecting fares, and the running of subsidized transit pass programs. It also increases the overall performance of transit routes by decreasing boarding times, and allows the transit operator to focus solely on operating the bus, not enforcing fare payments or distributing transfers.
Come on, people, let's move a little faster, please. Run late.
It even saves on large future expenses, like the development and installation of an e-pass system, or a yearly app purchase.
Now, a fare-free transit system still needs money to operate. And in Halifax, fares pay for about 30% of Halifax Transit's operating budget. To make up this revenue stream, we just need to look at where the other 70% comes from. Taxes. Whoa. Hold on a second. We realize that this is a controversial opinion, but there's actually some method behind the madness. Just hear us out.
The first thing we need to talk about is how Halifax Transit's revenue model works. There are three primary forms of revenue: the money from fares, the money from a dedicated transit tax, and a portion from the total municipal budget dedicated to transit by council. But we really want to focus on only one of these, the transit tax. The transit service tax works differently from other property taxes in the HRM. Almost all residential and resource properties pay a small rate of 4.7 cents for every $100 of a property's value. But if you own a property within 1 kilometer of a transit stop, you pay both the 4.7 cents plus 9.8 cents for every $100 of your property's value. The system assumes that if you live closer, you'll use it more, and therefore pay more. If our hypothetical fare-free transit system is going to work, we need to generate the same revenue through only taxes that we currently do through both fares and taxes. To keep things simple, let's just double the current transit tax, bringing the regional tax to 9.4 cents and the local tax to 19.6 cents for every $100 of value for a residential or resource property. In 2017, the transit tax generated almost $45 million, which if doubled would generate $12 million more than Halifax Transit receives in fares. That's a massive difference in our transit budget, especially when you consider that the 2019 fare increase was only expected to increase fare revenue by approximately 4.5%, or $1.5 million annually. More money for transit is great, but the important question here is, what would that do to you, the taxpayer? For people who only pay the regional rate, the change is relatively small. If you were fortunate enough to own a property valued at $800,000, the new tax is the cost of a cup of coffee a day. Or if you base it on the average residential property value in the HRM, less than $1 a day.
The increase would be mostly shouldered by property owners who already pay the local area transit tax. What might surprise you is that this system could actually save some people money.
If you own a property valued at $500,000 in the local transportation rate area, your bill works out to approximately $60.42 a month. If a single member of a household was to purchase a monthly transit pass, that'll bring the total household transit cost to $142.92. However, if the current local and regional taxes were doubled and fares were eliminated, that same household would only pay a monthly transit cost of $120.83, saving $20 every month.
So you save money, and Halifax Transit makes more money. And that last bit is actually really important for making this whole hypothetical scenario work. You see, when fare-free transit systems are implemented, ridership tends to increase from 30% all the way up to 50% within the first year alone. Being able to hop on or hop off of a bus whenever you want without having to worry about coins, tickets, or transfers makes transit really appealing for both residents and visitors. In 2019, the Halifax Regional Municipality declared a climate emergency. We know we need to start acting now to protect our world for future generations. Creating a fare-free transit system is an opportunity to put our municipality on the map, to be the first Canadian city to make a monumental change to how we get around. In the end, it's our politicians who have final say on our tax systems, and advocating for a tax increase can be unpopular. As crazy as it sounds, it's up to us, the taxpayers, to push for change, to push for higher taxes. We know that our communities need to be more sustainable, more accessible, and more economically viable. But when it comes down to it, what are we willing to pay to make that future happen?